Welcome back to lesson 75. We're talking about how to find the area of a trapezoid. Okay, and what you're going to want to know is the formula. Okay, so the area of a trapezoid, we need to know the formula. Well, first thing we'll want to know is what a trapezoid looks like. Okay, a trapezoid is a shape that looks like this. Okay, and what you need to notice about a trapezoid is that a trapezoid, any trapezoid, has one set of parallel lines, okay, lines that will never touch, and one set of lines that are not parallel. So these two would eventually cross each other if we drew them all the way out. Okay, they would eventually cross. Whereas these two would not cross ever if we drew them out. So that's what a trapezoid looks like. Okay, another example is we can have something that looks like this. Okay, that's a trapezoid because, again, we've got parallel lines and then lines that aren't parallel. That's a trapezoid. Okay, now a trapezoid has two bases. We've got a top base and a bottom base, and we call those base 1 and base 2. Alright? Then a trapezoid also has a height to it like a triangle. Okay, a height is the distance from the top straight up, or from the bottom straight up to the top. So a triangle, also, or a trapezoid, also has a height to it. And same thing, this trapezoid over here has a top base and a bottom base, and then it has a height, and in this case the height is this straight up and down line that connects the top and the bottom. Alright, and the formula for finding the area of a trapezoid is you take 1/2 of, and you take the two bases and add them together and multiply it all by the height. So we take 1/2 times the area, or the sum of the two bases. We add the two bases together and multiply by the height. So again, the formula for the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the two bases added together times the height. Okay? Now let's go ahead and use this formula to find some areas of trapezoids. Okay, example 1 says Eric needs to replace the shingles on the south side of his roof. The section of the roof is a trapezoid with the dimensions shown here. It says how many square feet of shingles does he need to cover the section of the roof? So we need to, because it's asking for square feet, find the area. So again, we're going to find the area of the trapezoid. First thing I want you to do is write down the formula, okay? Because we want to get this formula memorized. And again, the area formula for trapezoid is 1/2 times the two bases added together times the height. Okay, so let's go ahead and label this trapezoid here. We know that base 1 is up here at the top, base 2 is the bottom, and we've got our height is this straight up and down line right here. So we've got all the numbers that we need for this trapezoid. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and fill them into the formula. So we got 1/2 times, in parentheses, base 1 plus base 2. Well, base 1 is 8 feet. Plus base 2 is 24 feet. Times the height, which is 12 feet. Again, the height's the straight up and down right here. Well, the very first thing we see is parentheses. So PEMDAS says we need to do the parentheses first. So this is 1/2 times 8 feet plus 24 feet is 32 feet times 12 feet. We've got three numbers that we're multiplying together here. Okay, we can do this in any order. Typically, I would multiply these two numbers first if it wouldn't give me a very big number. Since it does, I'm going to go ahead and just multiply these two first and ask myself, what is half of 32? Or I could ask myself, what's half of 12? Okay, whichever is going to be the easiest for me. Okay, well, 1/2 of 32 is 16 feet times 12 feet. Then we're just going to multiply those. Okay, and 16 times 12, 6 times 2 is 12, carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and we get a 6 and a 1, and that's 192. Okay, so it's 192 And feet times feet gives me feet squared. So he needs 192 feet squared of shingles. Okay, I covered that part of his roof. And we've just got one more example here. Okay, example 2 says the bases of a trapezoid are 12 centimeters and 18 centimeters, and the height of the trapezoid is 8 centimeters. We want to find the area using the formula that we've been given. Okay? Well, the very first thing I would do is draw out this trapezoid. So you can see what it looks like. And the bases are 12 centimeters by 18 centimeters. And our height, straight up and down line from the top to the bottom, is 8 centimeters. Okay? I always like the visual. If you can figure out where the numbers go, okay, without the visual, that's fine. But again, I like to look at the trapezoid and label it. So this is base 1 up here. Base 2 is our bottom base, and then our height is here. And now we're going to go ahead and use the formula. Okay, again, area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2. That goes in parentheses because we have to add those together before doing anything else, times the height. So we got 1/2 times base 1 is 12 plus base 2 is 18 times the height, which is 8. Okay? And now we have 1/2 times 12 plus 18 is 30 times 8. Alright? Well, again, we can multiply these in any order here, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply these two together first. 1/2 of 8 is 4 times 30. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's easier mental math. Okay? Because now I know 4 times 30 equals 120. And we're in centimeters squared because we're talking about area. So our label is always squared. Alright, that's your whole lesson on the area of the trapezoid. Happy homeworking.